gon' stand for nothing, dumbass. I'm a man that stand for something, murder your ass by the cash. I'm in a $250,000 club with a $2 flag. Real steady on the stick, dumb bitch thought the shell catcher was a bag. Then we put jewels in hollow holders, go and holes in niggas' ass. We sit back and eat and smoke after we roll a nigga ass. Slide for the gutter, report my brother. All I got your back for a fake, let nobody touch you. Together we the struggle. Shit, what you want do? We gon' pop out with that strap and make shit move. We gon' pull up and fuck over one of them dudes. Motorola, Yola, real close, coach knows. I can't say I don't know you. In the cell, I'm drinking foes. Tell my real gangsters, real bangers, think I owe you. Behind this mic, I show you. Who the whole city blamed on? Nussy. Who homicide getting real tied up? Nussy. Who they turn their back on but still be showing love? Young boy. Who got that pussy nigga smashed in the club? Who got that getting your daughter fucked and got your son on drugs? I'm sorry. Bitch disrespect me, make me double back, I'm a gangster. Riding what they say is dangerous, bumping old school and a gangster. Mind of a minute, I'm rich and famous. Counting money, working on myself as if you wonder how I've been. Wishing if you know someone.
Yeah, young boy. Let me edit it real quick. My bad. I did wrong. You heard? Young boy. Gonna search the web today. Know what these fuck niggas on.
If Drew didn't film it, then it ain't filmed right.
I've been seeing this all.
There could have been greater plans as far as getting rid of her, and it's scary, sadistic stuff.
Big news on the David Celeste Rivas Hernandez case. We now know who the private investigator is that was hired by the Hollywood Hills landlord for the home that David had been staying at, right by where the Tesla was found with Celeste's body inside. Well, we just sat down with this investigator himself, Steve Fisher, about what he has learned so far, what we can expect next. Let me tell you, it is shocking. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey, real quick, everybody, this is another law and crime legal alert. There are allegations right now claiming that online apps like DraftKings and ESPN Bet and BetMGM and Bet365 and Fanatics Sportsbook and Caesars Sportsbook, that they are engineered for addiction. These multi-billion-dollar companies allegedly continue to put profit over safety. Every small payout, free bet, boosted parlay, that can trigger a dopamine rush that creates dependency and a destructive habit. They can keep users hooked and trap people in a cycle that can lead to serious financial financial loss. Well, I'll tell you what, our legal sponsors, they are taking on the online gambling industry to seek justice and potential compensation. So if you or a loved one has struggled with addiction, financial hardship, mental health issues due to sports betting apps, then visit gamblinglawsuits.com/sidebar to take a short quiz and check your eligibility to file a claim. All right, so you remember that we told you that the Hollywood Hills landlord, the property manager for that property that
Mike, commercials for you, nigga.
David, the singer, had been staying at, that property owner, that landlord, had hired a private investigator to look into the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the teen found dismembered in David's abandoned Tesla that was nearby? Well, not only do we know who this private investigator is, but I just interviewed him. Yeah, you're going to see him on this episode. And I'm recording this introduction after I interviewed him. And let me just say, he reveals a lot. Okay? I went better interviewing him. Dave found in the trunk of his impounded Tesla back in September. There have been named no persons of interest. That episode all started on September. Workers noticed this foul. Dave is not being considered at this point.
If you ain't caught up, bro, you gotta catch.
Official alleged photo that has for the by secure owner. What connections, if any, seized surveillance footage. This homeowner reportedly told the outlet that he hasn't even seen the footage himself, out of respect for the weather. Again, Steve Fisher,
when the case
here to talk about a special guest. I'm joined by private investigator Steve Fisher, who is hired by David's former landlord. Really appreciate you taking the time here to talk about this. First off, Steve, how were you hired? How were you retained in this matter?
So originally, when the body was originally found, I had another missing persons case going in LA of a female, and we thought that could be that individual. And so I kind of stayed with the case for a little while until she was identified, and we knew it wasn't. And I had, discovered some other things, such as when the car was towed and the photos from it being towed and whatnot. And, the owner had gotten in touch with me of the house, and I shared some things with him, and it just kind of evolved from there. But one thing, I would say is he is the owner of the house. He wasn't David's landlord. David wasn't even on the lease, and the owner never even knew that David was in the house. It was actually Josh Marshall, his manager, who had leased the house.
But to be clear, David was living there, right?
Yes, he was definitely staying there. It just was not known to the owner.
Right. Okay. And by the way, I understand this is, an active investigation. There might be limited what you can share. But what exactly is he looking for in this? What exactly is this property owner? What kind of answer?
Do I need to dress up like an anime character and start singing good songs? Because y'all be making the wrong niggas famous.
Answers is he looking for?
So we're really kind of evolved from was...
And I don't even want to be famous. I just want to take care of the fam. But I'll do all that. But not this. If y'all want to choose somebody next to me, I'll be the clown, the gesture.
The search warrant was served, I believe, on the 17th or 18th. And it was a forced entry search warrant, meaning that nobody was home at the time. And they did not leave a copy of the warrant or the return, the inventory list of the items that they took from the house. And it was really kind of born out of that. I was not officially retained at that time, but I helped him try to obtain that. And we told robbery homicide, hey, listen, no warrant was left behind. David was out on tour. Josh Marshall lives out of state, we found out. So the owner had his representative go to the house immediately after he found out about this. And there was no warrant, no return. So he really just wants to understand what of his property could have been taken and what the status of that is. And then also, this is troublesome when you learn something like this. All of a sudden you're thrown into this, and he feels absolutely horrible for Celeste's family. And he's like, if there's anything that involves in and around my house that could help, then I want to discover that. And I'll tell you that there have been things that we've learned and we've turned right over to LAPD, but we think there's significant, things that could help.
Do you mean that there might be evidence that a crime was committed at that house?
Not so much a crime. No, And I'll just be honest with you. We don't have any evidence that anything happened to Celeste at that house, but there is definitely evidence that we've collected that helps the timeline. We now have a much better understanding of when that Tesla arrived at that final parking spot. I'll tell you, I do have surveillance from different houses in the neighborhood showing Tesla being moved. So things like that, and I'm not even saying that LAPD didn't have that. I'm sure they did, but we wanted to make sure, and we did some work on the up-resing the footage to find out who was driving the vehicle. And there are some other items that were found at the house that weren't taken during the search warrant. And search warrants are limited, right? They can't just go take everything. It's what the judge, and we don't know how broad that search warrant was because we haven't seen it, and that's what we'd like to see. But there were some things that were not taken into custody of LAPD that we think are significant, and including digital media and some other things that really help nail down timeline and things like that.
You handed that over to LAPD. There's other.
We have literally the day that we the things that we've recovered, we've given to LAPD within 24 hours.
Do you know who was driving that car, that Tesla? You don't have to tell me, but do you know the identity?
Yeah, as far as it going to the final, what we believe is the final parking spot where it was towed from, yes.
And that information's been communicated to law enforcement.
So it's been given to law enforcement. They're not going to tell us if they're confirming if that's a person or not. Robbery, homicide, the way they work is we'll take your information. We're not going to speak on it, so I don't know. But listen, it's very clear that that neighborhood is filled with surveillance cameras, and the timelines, once we learn those dates and we can see other things that were happening that were even public on Instagram and whatnot, were going on in those people's lives, it makes a lot of sense.
So let me ask you this. If you see when the car was parked there, have you seen anything to indicate that Celeste's body was transferred into that car after the car was parked there? Or in other words, do you believe that her body was in that car the minute it was parked in the location it was ultimately towed from?
So I'll say I have no evidence of a body being transferred before or after. There's no evidence of that at all. What I will say, when it was moved to that position, it was already like that. So that car had not been used in a very long time. It was super dirty, caked on dirt. I'll tell you, this was in late July. So it's bizarre because we also got media that the car was used a lot. David even spoke about it in Instagram videos. He took it to a detail shop and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, the very beginning of the year, that car, something happens, and that car's doesn't show up anymore. It's not used. It seems to disappear. And then that red Tesla learned, which we didn't know until the search warrant was served, that there's a.
I ain't gonna lie, this is some industry plan shit. I feel like they planning him, and they have the strongest base for this kid. They gonna make sure he can make it through this. He gonna tell it off.
The red Tesla in the garage.
Funny with that nigga. He hang himself in there after he tell it all because he know they're gonna be coming for him. I don't know, I grew up believing in all that. These stuff. No, it's something behind this that's bigger than what you feel me? They want the public to see. Say news is fake news. We are the news. We make the news. And yeah.
Which I can tell you was at least on February 1st.
Yeah, let me just narrow down here. Do you have the precise date of when that car, the one with the Tesla, with Celeste's body inside, when it was left there? Do you know the specific date of when it was left in Hollywood Hills?
I believe so. I believe it. Late July. Very late July. Very late July.
So one thing that we've heard, and this is something we've talked about, is the LAPD has seized footage from the rental property, multiple security cameras around the property. There are even reports of a smashed ring camera on the ground.
Yes.
And according to TMZ, police seized all the footage from multiple security cameras at the house last month when they executed the search warrant. TMZ described that footage as a, quote, potential gold mine for investigators.
I smile, I don't think I'm like the time.